G'day guys, welcome to another episode with Depot Adventures. My name is Hugo and I am a tour guide in Melbourne. Today you're very lucky because I am showing you my favourite place probably in the world. Here it is, the mighty Melbourne Cricket Ground. This is the home of sport in this country. Now this stadium has hosted quite a few famous events in its time. Probably most notably in 1956, this was the main stadium for the 1956 Olympic Games. This was the first Olympics held in the Southern Hemisphere, and we're pretty proud of it even to this day. Now today, the Melbourne Cricket Ground isn't really known as the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's a bit long to say, and if you're coming to this city, a good tip to give you is to just shorten all words. The Melbourne Cricket Ground is a great example because the locals know it as the MCG. And that makes sense. Melbourne Cricket Ground is a lot of effort to say, right? But even that is too long for us. We can shorten MCG down, so it's known to locals as simply the G. So if you're coming to Melbourne, I can't recommend enough coming to the G to see one of our famous sporting events in particular. Now the sport that is played here primarily is cricket and Australian rules football. Now they are two sports that a lot of the world doesn't really get behind. Australian rules in particular is a sport that's really only played in this very country, and it was invented right here in Melbourne. In fact, where I'm standing right now was where the first game of Australian rules football was played all the way back in 1858. Since then, it has become like a religion here in Melbourne at least. Now, in the 90s, football was pretty popular. It's been popular for a long time, but so many people were attending games here at the MCG that the attendance for those years in the 1990s was over 3 million. Now, that was more than the entire population of Melbourne itself. Quite a remarkable achievement, and goes to show you just how loved football and this stadium is to Melburnians and Australians alike. Now, cricket is also a very popular sport here. That is why this ground was first built, and hence why it's called the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Now, just a few years ago, in fact in 2005, there was a crowd of 93,000 people in here to watch a cricket game, a World Cup final, in fact. Now, Australia won, of course. The biggest crowd with football was about 120,000. They believe, for Australian rules football. Most games, though, range from about 40,000 up to 50, 60,000, up to 90,000 for the biggest games. The biggest game here is held every year in September. It is the grand final, and they'll get 100,000 people to those games. Now, funnily enough, because sport is such a religion here, you would think that the sporting crowds have had the biggest crowd ever at this stadium. Not the case. See, a few musicians have played here. Eminem, most notably. He has the biggest crowd for a music event here, getting 80,000 people in 2019. But the biggest crowd ever, believe it or not, was for a sermon. An evangelist sermon. Evangelist came in 1959, Billy Graham, and the crowd was estimated at over 130,000 people. So if you're in Melbourne, you'll need to come down to the mighty MCG or the G to watch a game of football, maybe catch a match of cricket, maybe see a concert, and hey, if we've got another sermon in town, maybe check that out as well. Well, I hope you've learned a bit about the MCG and the sorts of events that we love to see here, and I hope to catch you in Melbourne very soon, but maybe you can check out more of our videos if you can't come on down. Please hit the subscribe button, help us out, and we'll see you next time at Depot. Cheers.